It was supposed to be a quiet Remembrance Sunday, the kind of day when nations pause, not for celebration, but for solemn reflection. A day for silence, poppies, bowed heads, and memories that never quite fade. The morning rain had left London's Whitehall slick with puddles. Thin mist hung in the air, and a crisp November chill brushed against the cheeks of those who gathered near the Cenotaph War Memorial. They came in coats and scarves, red paper poppies pinned to lapels, school children with plastic flowers in hand, veterans in wheelchairs, young cadets standing at attention, learning what it means to remember. And from a black cab parked discreetly by the corner, a figure stepped out. Harold Bennett, 87 years old, Royal Navy, Korean War. His spine still straight, despite time's attempt to bend him. On his chest, 4 medals, each polished to a mirror sheen. In his hand, a cane made of old oak, carved by his own father. He moved slowly, but deliberately, through the forming crowd. Each step measured like a metronome counting memories. No one called his name. No fanfare greeted him. But heads turned, and people moved aside. They knew. He reached the cenotaph and stood still, facing the stone monument etched with the names of the fallen. He removed his beret and tucked it under one arm. Then he waited. The 2-minute silence was about to begin. The band quieted. A single bell rang out from a nearby chapel, and in the space of that note, the world went silent. No cars, no coughs, no phones, just breath and memory. Harold closed his eyes. Names passed through him like whispers in the fog. Evans, Draper, Sullivan. Boys who never came home. The silence swelled. And somewhere in that sacred stillness, the past walked again. But silence is a fragile thing, and not everyone believes in its power. Across the street, a voice rang out, loud, sharp, and deliberate. No more silence for dead soldiers. We want silence for the living. The words slapped the air like wet cloth. Heads turned, gasps broke the quiet. A child clung tighter to her mother's coat. A small group, 5 or 6 in number, emerged from the crowd, dressed in dark clothes, with masks pulled down and signs held high. War isn't noble. War is profit. No more glorifying bloodshed. And at the front, Liam Rivers, 22, university activist, sharp jaw, sharper tongue, and a phone recording in his left hand. He walked straight toward the cenotaph. A police officer moved instinctively, hand raised to intercept. But before he could speak, Harold turned his head slightly and said, "Let him come." The officer hesitated and obeyed. The crowd murmured, some angry, others confused. Liam stepped up to the line separating the public from the monument, looked Harold in the eye, and smirked. "Still clinging to your medals, old man?" Harold didn't move, didn't blink. Not clinging, carrying. "You think killing people makes you a hero? I think losing people teaches you how to live." Liam scoffed. "You followed orders. You wore a costume. And you think that's worth worshipping?" Harold exhaled once through his nose. "I think it's worth remembering." And then Liam crossed the line, literally. He stepped over the rope barrier and walked to the edge of the cenotaph. A collective gasp rose from the crowd. Phones went up. Voices called out, some pleading, some angry. But Harold remained still. Liam stood before the monument and raised his phone. "This is what they call sacred? A slab of rock for dead killers?" He placed a foot near the wreaths at the base. Harold's cane struck the stone beneath him, sharp. "Stop." Liam turned. "Or what?" "You want a stage, son. You want eyes. But this is not your theater. This is propaganda. This is sacrifice. This is a tombstone. This is a promise. Then Harold removed his overcoat. Beneath it, his full dress uniform, pristine, perfect, unapologetic. He handed the coat to a young cadet beside him and took one step closer to Liam. The crowd parted again. Rain began to fall heavier now. Droplets clung to Harold's silver hair, but he didn't wipe them away. He turned to the cenotaph, placed his hand gently on its side. I come here each year, not because I want to be seen, but because they can't be. I watched good men die screaming. I pulled charred bodies from steel wreckage, and not once, not one single time, did any of them ask to be remembered as heroes. But I remember them anyway. He turned, faced the crowd, then squared his shoulders toward Liam, and saluted. A full, formal, naval salute. Not for Liam, not even for the cameras, for the boys whose names were carved in stone behind him. Silence returned. Not the awkward kind, the reverent kind. Even Liam lowered his phone. His smirk faded. The rain began to drown out everything else, except Harold's voice. You may think this is just ceremony, but it's not. It's memory, son. And memory is the only thing keeping us from making the same damn mistakes. A child's voice rang out from the crowd. Mommy! The soldier won. And somehow, that hit harder than anything else. Liam took a shaky step backward. Then another. He turned and walked away. No applause, no shouting, just quiet. That night, the footage went viral. Old vet silences protest with final salute. Activist humbled at war memorial. Honor still matters. But Harold never saw it. He was home, polishing his shoes by hand, his coat drying by the fire. Beside him, a photograph of 6 young sailors, smiling, frozen in time. And he whispered to them, as he did every year, I kept the silence. You keep the peace. If this story moved you, share it. Because some battles aren't fought with bullets, but with memory and the courage to remember. Subscribe for more stories of honor, tradition, and the quiet strength that still lives among us. And remember, some salutes echo far beyond the day they're given.